Yolanda Saldivar is one of the most hated women in all of American history. She murdered our beautiful Selena Quintanilla in 1995. Here are all the events that led up to the murder. Get this, Yolanda Saldivar was a nurse. So somebody who was meant to help people survive and live and take care of them, she ended up murdering her? Crazy. In 1991, Yolanda attended one of Selena's concerts. This is when she became a super fan of Selena. After the concert, she started calling Selena's father Abraham non-stop. And what was she calling for? She wanted to make a fan club for Selena. Abraham, Selena's father, eventually gave her permission to start the fan club. In his own words, he said that she seemed genuine and that she seemed very excited to work for Selena. Yolanda actually quit her nursing job and became a full-time employee of Selena. It was around the time that Amor Prohibido reached #1 in the Latin Billboard charts. Can you imagine the envy this woman must have had for Selena? Yolanda in interviews would say that Selena was her idol. Okay, but let's talk about this foundation because I haven't used foundation in a couple of months. It's from Essence Cosmetics and look at the glow. Where's that coming from? After a couple of years of working with Selena, Yolanda was not only managing the fan club, she was also helping Selena open her 2 clothing boutiques. This meant she had a lot of access to Selena. In an interview, Abraham said that he started noticing that Yolanda was becoming obsessed with Selena. For example, if Selena was at a concert, Yolanda would physically act as a barrier between Selena and her fans. Abraham told her, "This is not your job. We have bodyguards for that." She wanted Selena all to herself. Eventually, some of the employees from the boutique started complaining about Yolanda. The employees started to complain that she had mismanaged funds from the fan club. In other words, she was embezzling money from the fan club. How could she claim that Selena was her idol, that she loved her, that she wanted to help her, while you're stealing money from her? But you guys, it doesn't stop there. The employees also said that she was destroying designs. Same designs that were being made for the boutique, Yolanda was destroying those designs. And she was even threatening the employees. And the cherry on top, she was recording the employees. This is when Abraham started investigating all of the claims that the employees were making. And indeed, he found that she had embezzled $30,000. Then he started getting complaints from the members of the fan club saying that they had paid their dues but had not received any merchandise. You know what's so terrifying? That Yolanda was acting like a saint in front of Selena. To these employees, she was being terrible. She was abusing them. Unfortunately, Selena never believed that Yolanda would be capable of such a thing. March 9th of 1995, Selena and her father Abraham decided to confront Yolanda about the embezzlement. Abraham said that during the confrontation, Selena was very emotional because she couldn't believe that Yolanda would be capable of such a thing. But Yolanda, on the other hand, was defensive and said she just didn't know about any of it. So she basically denied everything. During the confrontation, Abraham told Yolanda that they would get the police involved if she did not return the funds. You guys, 2 days after that, she purchases a gun. She told the gun store that she had been having problems with the family of an elderly person that she had been taking care of because she was a nurse, and that she was buying the gun for protection. But like I said before, Selena refused to believe that she would be capable of any of this. Selena did not cut Yolanda off, and this made Yolanda really happy. In fact, Selena asked Yolanda to help her open up another boutique store in Monterrey, Mexico. Guess what Yolanda did? She returned the gun. Yolanda was so happy that she hadn't been cut off, she went and returned the gun. But a few days after that conversation, Selena started asking Yolanda for some important documents that she needed to return to them. And what did Yolanda do? She went and repurchased the gun. Is that not as premeditated as it can get? After the confrontation, Yolanda decided to show up to the recording studio and Abraham did not let her in. In fact, he kicked her out. Police believe that this is one of the events that triggered her into buying the gun in the first place. On March 30th, Yolanda checks into a Days Inn motel. That very night, Selena comes over at 11 p.m. and this is when Yolanda gives her the documents. And Selena goes home to Chris, her husband. But later on that night, Yolanda calls Selena and tells her that she had been raped in Mexico. Selena did not quite believe her, but she also didn't want to leave her hanging. But unfortunately, we all know that Selena decided to go by herself. In fact, Chris was still asleep in bed when Selena left the house. She picks up Yolanda in the morning and takes her straight to the hospital. The doctors at the hospital decide to run some tests on Yolanda since she claimed that she was raped, but they couldn't find anything because she wasn't raped. This is when Selena takes some of the nurses aside and tells her that she doesn't believe that she was raped and that her friend was making it all up. Selena drives Yolanda back to the motel. Because Yolanda has never spoken the truth about what actually happened, police can only predict that Selena was extremely emotional and angry at her during the ride back to the hotel. So let's just recap some of the things that Yolanda did. She embezzled $30,000 from the fan club. She hadn't even been sending the merchandise to the people who had signed up and paid the fees for the fan club. She was abusing and mistreating her employees at the boutique by threatening them, secretly recording them, and destroying designs for the boutique. On top of everything, she calls her in the middle of the night to tell her that she had been raped and that she needs to be taken to the hospital, only to find out that the rape never happened. Selena must have made it very clear that the relationship between them was over. Yolanda would have been panicking and grasping at straws. This is when Yolanda says they got to the hotel room and Selena took off their friendship ring. Yolanda, a couple of years back, had gifted Selena a friendship ring and they both wore the same ring. This is when Yolanda claims that she had the gun and that she grabbed it so that she could herself. Selena decides to turn around and exit the room. This is when Yolanda says that the gun went off in her hands. She claims that she ran after Selena to try to help her. Yolanda still claims that she never saw blood, therefore she didn't know that Selena had been shot. Norma Martinez was working at the motel that morning. She claims to have seen Yolanda running after Selena, pointing the gun at her, calling her a bitch. This is an eyewitness account, so they couldn't really prove that it had happened. If this is true, Yolanda knew that she had shot Selena, and she was running after her to shoot at her again. Selena had been shot in the shoulder, and the reason she died is because the bullet hit an artery. She was bleeding out extremely fast. According to eyewitness accounts, Yolanda then walked back into the room. She was not trying to help Selena. This is what happened to Selena. She gets shot in the back, she runs out of the room and runs straight into the lobby. This is when she says, Yolanda Saldivar, room 158, and then she passes out. While Selena Quintanilla is bleeding out in the hotel lobby, Yolanda is trying to figure out what to do. This is when a 9.5-hour standoff ensues with the police and Yolanda. This is where police believe that Yolanda got the idea to claim it was an accident. One of the negotiators that got on the phone with her told her that it's okay because it might have been an accident. Maybe the gun went off by mistake. This is when Yolanda says, yeah, it was a mistake. Before that comment, Yolanda had not claimed that. At this point, there's hundreds of people standing outside of the hotel asking Yolanda to come out of the car. Selena was pronounced dead an hour after she got to the hospital. 6 months later, on October 1995, Yolanda was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. But she is up for parole March 2025. That's exactly 30 years after she killed Selena. While I was doing my research, I found an episode on Selena.
Am I the asshole if I tell my friend her boyfriend is planning to propose? My 27 female best friend has been dating her boyfriend, 26 male, for over 5 years. A while back, he reached out to me to help figure out ring size and the setup so he could make this the most magical day for her. Having known my friend for over 20 plus years, I know exactly how she wants her proposal to go and who she wants to be there. So I relayed all of this information to him months ago via text and over the phone. I even took the time to covertly find and confirm which ring she would love the most. A little background. My friend is incredibly family and friend oriented, and in the past expressed to me on multiple occasions, especially during holiday season, that in the 5 years they've been together, he hasn't really made much of an effort to indoctrinate himself into her family or friendships the way she has for his. While I do generally like him, I've always felt that he is incredibly self-serving and self-focused. Recently, through a mutual friend, I found out he started a group text between his, emphasis on his, friends and his family to set up a time and date of the proposal. He has not only excluded myself, and according to the screenshots I've seen, he is doing everything verbatim I suggested he do, but he has completely excluded her family and other close friends from the event. He is planning on only having his boys and family present for the occasion, and knowing my friend, this would ultimately break her heart not being able to share this moment with her loved ones. I got heated and called him. At first, he was dodging my questions, then just outright said, quote, "This is my proposal, and I've spent enough time and money to choose how I do it. Just be happy for your friend. It's not like you're not coming to the wedding." This infuriated me. And to make matters worse, I ran into her mom and dad at the grocery store and subtly asked if they knew of any possibility she was getting engaged. They were unaware, and I know for a fact my friend has told him that he needs to ask her parents for their blessing. She's somewhat traditional. My friend wears her heart on her sleeve, and I can predict how this event will go down when she sees all of his close friends and family there and none of hers. Considering her previous sentiments about his lack of interest in her family/life, she will 100% see this as being hurtful and selfish, and I know she'll cry. To make matters worse, the location of the proposal is a whopping 30 minutes from her parents' house. I don't want to get involved in a fight or reveal the surprise, but on the other hand, I feel like I owe it to my lifelong friend to help her avoid being hurt and disappointed. Maybe even helping her rethink what her future would look look like with someone who just doesn't really appreciate what she values in life. So am I the asshole if I tell my friend her boyfriend is going to propose? So update to everyone who told me to keep my mouth shut. Thank you. So on Saturday, the day of the proposal, I got a call from her boyfriend. He was screaming at me, blaming me for not showing up, uninvited still, to the proposal with her parents because she was upset they weren't there. I told him I knew this would happen, and he says verbatim, quote, "You just admitted you knew this would happen. So if you knew the whole time and you actually cared for her, you would have invited them." I was gobsmacked and hung up on him. Not even an hour later, I get a call from her asking me to come to her parents. According to her, this is how the situation played out. He popped the question, she said yes, and the people he invited popped out from hiding. She was bombarded by 4 of his guy friends, his mom, dad, older brother, and his sister-in-law. His parents were holding a sign that said, quote, "Welcome to the family, Mrs. Insert his last name here, and this is where things go downhill." I did not know this before, and I thought I knew everything, but my friend doesn't want to change her last name. And she's told him that repeatedly since they'd gotten together. She's an only child from a Ukrainian family, and with everything going on with Ukraine in the last year, she's doubled down. Yeah. When she saw the sign, she joked, "Mrs. his last name? I think you mean Mrs. her last name." Mm-hmm. Everyone went silent until his mom said, quote, "Well, the ring is already engraved." She takes the ring off and sees Mrs. his last name engraved on the band. Then she asked if her parents were coming. He gave every excuse. He didn't have their number. There were too many people there. He wanted to keep it private and eventually said, quote, "This was my proposal to you. And now my family is your family. We can just send your parents the pictures later." She took the ring off and left.
Good.
That's when I'm assuming I got the call from him. She went straight to her parents. She asked them about the engagement. They were clueless. She then asked if I knew anything. I asked if she was in the right place. She said she was, so I told her I would answer any questions she had rather than dumping everything on her. She was upset but thanked me. She was furious when I told her about the call with him earlier and said, "Does he really think I'm that shallow?" She said it wasn't about having a perfect proposal for her or her parents there. It was about him making the whole thing about himself. As always, and she was done feeling ignored and belittled. So this was her breaking point. She's staying with her parents currently and has been receiving texts from him. The worst one so far is him telling her she has to pay him back for the ring and for ruining his life. Right now, all I can do is be here for her and whatever decision she makes. I will fully support because, as you've all helped me realize, this isn't about me. It's about her. Not my monkey, not my circus.
Yeah.
Edit. She gave him the ring back when she took it off. I didn't include that because I was at the 3,000 character limit already. Edit 2. Update. I did not mention this plan when I originally posted, just in case her ex found this thread, but I can report now that we got a heads up last night that he wasn't at their apartment. So we ran over and got most of her shit out, at least all of the really important stuff. To those asking, no, she isn't going back to him. It's over.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you guys, the tea is so freaking piping hot. I had to tell someone, and I'm gonna tell you guys what's up. Okay, so not everyone knows this, but last year I got a job as an admissions coordinator at this school, but I was only there for like a month before I got the offer for my current position, and I took the offer for my current position because it was a better offer. So like 2 weeks before I even got the offer for my position that I'm in now, I made a friend there who had just gotten hired, and we became so close. We were like 2 peas in a pod, and we were hanging out there every day. So when I got my new position, I was like, "Oh, you should take over my role." And I suggested that she take over my role and I train her for it. And that's exactly what happened. She got my role, and eventually she was supposed to get the pay raise and all that. Well, I don't know how long it's been, like almost 6 months. And me and her have kept in contact. We have like little snap streaks, so we talk all the time. And she just told me that she went to HR against our old boss. Now, I got weird vibes from our old boss when I was there. Like, she was really passive aggressive, and I just got weird vibes from her and the things that she would say and do sometimes, but I wasn't there long enough to pick up on all this stuff, but she was, and she wrote this like 3-page complaint, and I'm gonna tell you all the stuff that our boss has been doing. So the first thing is, she was talking shit about me after I left, saying that it's a good thing I left on my own because she was gonna fire me. I know that's a lie because when I emailed her my 2 weeks, she wasn't in the office. She called me instantly on my personal phone and was trying to get me to stay and saying if there's anything else that they could do to keep me or if I was 100% sure with this decision. I really think she didn't like me because I'm the type of person who gets along with everyone and gets everyone together and like boosts morale, but I don't think she likes people being together and her feeling excluded. But she's our boss. Like, you're not going to be in our circle like that. So she's always talking crap about the employees. She doesn't want to talk to the employees directly, so she would have my friend go and tell them things, be like, no, you go and tell her this, go and tell that person this. Whenever my friend was talking to someone else, like a coworker, she would come up to her and keep saying her name over and over again and telling her to come to her office until she did. Like, she wouldn't let her finish her conversation, and she would like snap at her to hurry up. Another thing she mentioned in the complaint is that she has plastic forks in her drawer in her cubicle, and our boss had seen her grab one. And then the next day, our boss goes to her cubicle, pulls the drawer open and grabs a fork without asking her, and just goes in her station. And then when she goes up and she's like, hey, do you need anything? She's like, oh, I was just grabbing a fork because you were in the middle of a conversation. If that wasn't bad enough, it gets way worse because this is why my friend had to go report her. Okay, so the turnover rate at that school is so high. People are always quitting. Like, no one stays there for a long time. I mean, look at me. I stayed there for like a month and left. But anyway, they were hiring, and my friend and, previous coworker, she was going through the Indeed applications. She has access to the email, and it tells you like, so-and-so applied to the position, so-and-so applied to the position, right? So my friend is seeing these names pop up, and she notices that they're Hispanic Latino names, and she's excited because she's Hispanic Latino, and she's excited to have people who are also Hispanic Latino getting an opportunity to work there. A week goes by, and all of a sudden her access to the Indeed is revoked, and our boss gives her a list of candidates for the position, and all of them are Asian with the exception of maybe like one white dude. Our boss, by the way, was Asian. So my friend asks her like, hey, what happened to the other candidates? And my boss is like, there aren't any other candidates. And my friend's like, are you sure? Like, I saw some candidates that were Hispanic and Latino. And she was like, no, there aren't any candidates. You can leave now. And like tells her to leave her office. This didn't sit right with my friend, so she closes her office door and she's like, I saw these names pop up and there were a lot of candidates who were Hispanic Latino. What happened to them? And my boss replies, just because they're Hispanic and Latino doesn't mean that they have relevant work experience. What? So this was the big thing that pissed my friend off, and she was like, what the hell? Like, you can't do that. You can't exclude people just because of what they are, because you don't think that that ethnicity or background is good enough to work here. So that's why she went to HR and filed that complaint, but she included everything else that she's been doing too. And now that I'm thinking about it, it makes sense because when I applied there was another candidate who was Asian and her name was Amy, and they kept calling me Amy, and they kept like thinking that I was Amy for some reason. And then when they wanted to call me back and hire me, they didn't call me back and hire me within the time frame. Later on, when I spoke to the person that did hire me, who was, by the way, Persian, he was leaving. He was above my boss, but he was leaving. He was like, I put my 2 weeks in. And I was like, oh, so like, why did you guys hire me? And he was like, oh, well, we actually had someone else in mind, but they didn't return our calls, so that's why we hired you. And I was just like, oh, cool, thanks. But I felt it was weird, like they didn't really want to hire me. They were kind of like forced, or because he was Persian, he was like, well, she'd be our next best option. My old boss found out that my friend reported her, went to the dean, told her that she's not doing her job right, and my friend had to be moved to student affairs. Today I messed up by agreeing to watch my friend have sex. A few nights ago, I, 22 male, showed up at my friend's 25 male flat to watch him have sex with his girlfriend, 22. It was an unforgettable experience for all the wrong reasons. Sleeping together in front of someone else was a fantasy my friend and his girlfriend wanted to explore. My name was apparently the only name that managed to get 2 unanimous votes for my friend and his girlfriend during their selection process. I leaned towards saying no when my friend offered me the uncomfortable position of being the other person, but I accepted the role because my friend played his "you owe me" card, and it made it sound like it would be over in less than 10 minutes. I had one job: enjoy the show, but without touching my friend or his girlfriend. My presence was my only purpose. When I entered my friend's bedroom and approached my designated chair, I was prepared for an awkward night. My friend and his girlfriend are attractive people, but I've never been keen to see them naked, let alone sexually active. As soon as the kissing and touching turned into stripping and sucking, I was struggling to contain my laughter. It was a nervous reaction that was out of my control due to an unusual situation that was also unintentionally funny. Exhibit A: my friend was quiet. too quiet. Mom's made more noise than him. Exhibit B. My friend's girlfriend must have been under the impression that I was a talent scout, because literally any random touch from my vocally challenged friend, like his knuckle brushing against her knee or whatever, would prompt her to bite her bottom lip and moan like she was tasting a delicious dish for a television commercial. My friend was unable to get a pivotal part of his anatomy to rise to the occasion because he was focused too much of his attention on me when he noticed that I was fighting the urge to laugh. I did my best to avoid eye contact since I was supposed to be watching something purposefully hot, not accidentally hilarious. Mid-BJ, my friend asked me what was so funny. I apologized and said that my reaction was nothing more than nervous laughter, which was 90% true. The other 10% was me trying not to laugh at my friend for being dead quiet while his girlfriend was gunning for best over-the-top performance at the Academy Awards. When my friend's girlfriend realized that I was indirectly distracting my friend, she unexpectedly wiggled my friend's flaccid penis and said, "Erecto Patrona." That broke me. I laughed uncontrollably. My friend got annoyed and said, "Look what you've done." I thought he was talking to his girlfriend, but it quickly became clear that he was actually talking to me. Based on his feedback, my childish reaction motivated his girlfriend to incorporate inappropriate Harry Potter humor when he was feeling vulnerable. He blamed me for everything that didn't go according to plan, including the fact that he was struggling to get it up. By the time he was done branding me the bad guy, he was dressed and no longer interested in continuing. I apologized again and explained that it was never my intention to laugh or become a distraction. It was involuntary. My friend suggested that we continue the conversation the next day. That was 3 days ago. My friend is still not responding to my messages or answering my calls. I get that I should have done a better job at being serious, but I don't understand how all of this is on me though.
My mother did piss me the fuck off yesterday. Mother basically called me a whore, and it just like sent me into a spiral for no fucking reason. And like she like really wasn't calling me a whore, but like she was calling me a whore. My mother was asking me about the mans that I've been like on a. We basically had a date weekend together. Yeah, Nicole told this whole story because when it happened, I was like, "Fuck my mom," and Nicole was like, "Okay, wait, what?" But like you'll understand why. I was like, "This bitch had the nerve." So my mom was asking me about the mans that I've been seeing. When I've just been like MIA, off my phone, not talking. I gave Nicole Too Faced foundation and she's in the back like literally being a chemist. Anyways, she was asking me about him. I was telling her, I was like, yeah, like he cooked me dinner, he slept over, and he ate my asshole. Dessert, baby. I was letting my mom know, like, because you would think she'd be fucking proud of me that, like, I've basically been, like, celibate, and, like, I wasn't fucking, I was just getting my asshole eaten. Okay, you know what, maybe I should tell all this. Whatever, and my mom is like, God, Livy, like, you can't wait. She's like, God, Livy, like, you can't wait, like, 5 or 6 dates. Like, why is he doing it so soon? I'm like, Mom, he ate my asshole. He didn't fuck me. Like, he literally only ate my asshole.
I just think it's really funny. Like, I just don't get how she can be mad about this, because what's she gonna say? Like, Livy got her asshole eaten on the 2nd date, not the 5th. Like, I just, like, what is the appropriate
like,
amount of dates before the asshole gets eaten?
Like, why does it matter what date I'm getting my asshole eaten on? Why can't you be proud of your daughter? Nicole's never gotten her ass eaten.
I feel really sad about that.
You should. Mind you guys, yesterday, I'm heated. I'm sending screenshots to, like, the group chats being like, why is my mom a bitch? And I'm like, Nicole, like, fuck my mom. Nicole's like, your mom's just jealous. But guys, like, literally imagine Nicole and I's conversation yesterday where I'm, like, genuinely upset. And she's like, no, like, your mom's jealous. I'm like, even if I did get dicked down, why does it matter? And I didn't. Just so we know I didn't.
She's projecting.
And literally yesterday, Nicole was like, don't feel judged. Like, it's okay. I'm like, well, I feel judged. I feel completely judged. Because my mom's like, you can't wait to get your asshole eaten. And I'm like, okay, whatever, Mom. Fuck you. But me getting my asshole eaten has kind of been like, me getting my ass eaten has kind of been like the theme of this trip. No, because what is that? Because what is that? No, like, Nicole got off the plane and we are like, oh my God, like, I haven't seen you in forever. She was like, how's the man? So I'm like, girl, he literally ate my asshole. Nicole is screaming at me. And mind you, we're waiting for our Uber. Wait, guys, we're waiting for our Uber at LAX and we're talking about my mans. And Nicole's like, wait, like, he ate your ass? Girl, like, he dead ass ate my ass. It was so crazy. Mind you, we're like screaming because we're both loud ass bitches to begin with, right? We're screaming and we look over, a family.
It wasn't even just like...
It was like... It was a father.
It was
like, there was a father, mind you, that can hear us because we're right next to him screaming about me getting my ass eaten. Yeah. And this man, like, and then Nicole and I started dying laughing because we're like, oh my God, we were just yelling about me getting my ass eaten. And like, a father is listening. So one of your fathers definitely knows all about my sex life, like in the full details of it too. But we really just like, I think we both have this thing where we are in public and we could give a fuck. Like, we're still gonna talk our shit, you know, we're in public. So like, yeah, half of LAX does know about my sex life and that's fine, as they fucking should.
You're welcome.
Sir, I'm giving you some tips. Go home, eat your wife's ass, and like thank me fucking later.
I know the wife's like nudging him.
Yeah.
Like, are you listening to this, babe?
Like, my mom trips and it's not even the 5th date. I definitely feel like that's my toxic trait, is that like I could be in fucking church and you're gonna hear about my life, you know what I mean? Like, there is no boundaries with me. Like, everyone's gonna know. Obviously, it's TikTok right now and I'm telling you guys about my fucking Nobody asked. Nobody asked. If anything, my mom was like, please don't put this online. Here I am talking about my
Livy, what's the asshole routine?
Livy, drop the asshole routine down below. Drop the asshole routine, girl, please. Mind you, Nicole and I had a talk before this where I was like, I think I just want to keep this private. Like, I just want to keep like me and my man's private. Like,
Somehow
I just want to keep
dove deeper into the asshole.
Somehow, you know all about myself. I'm like, I don't really think I'm going to talk about it online at all. We're talking about my asshole. Like, it doesn't get deeper than that at this point. But I still am keeping it private. Relatable queen. Me really, like, at lunch, like, we're keeping this one private, Nicole. Like, I just, like, don't want anyone to know. We can't even record the podcast episode on it. Here I am. And yay,
Am I the asshole for not telling people happy birthday the traditional way? Okay, so this is going to sound silly, and I feel I'm probably not an asshole for this, but when I was about 18, I'm 26 now, I got bored of saying happy birthday to people all the time and wanted to have a more unique way of saying happy birthday, so I would be more memorable. I know there are silly cards and stuff, but I started trying to come up with a new phrase to say. Now, my first one was, quote, happy day of being pushed out of your mother's uterus. Until I said that to someone, and they told me that they were a C-section baby, so technically not pushed out. And I was like, you know what? You are right. And I changed it to, quote, happy day of being forcefully removed from your mother's uterus, because it's all inclusive. And since deciding on that, it's what I have told everyone every year since on their birthday. Now, I have my mother-in-law, 49, who does not really like me to begin with, and she nitpicks everything I say and do. However, even though I've been with my husband for 9 years, she apparently never noticed before today when I said that exact phrase to her oldest son, my brother-in-law, which really the fact that she has never noticed before in 9 years can tell you a lot about my relationship with her, in my opinion.
IMO.
After hearing this, she freaked out on me because what I said was, quote, vulgar, rude, and making fun of the birthday traditions. I personally don't see this vulgar or rude, but I am not always the best at social cues. So maybe it is. However, no one else has complained or said anything before. And usually it gives people a nice chuckle. So here I am to ask, am I the asshole? Am I missing the social cues here? And am I in fact being vulgar and rude?
I'm going to hell for this and I do not care. Back when I was growing up, I always seemed to float between two worlds. In school, I would be considered to be a quiet nerd that was left alone. At home, hung out with a pretty rough crowd and was always getting into trouble. Between the drinking, the fighting, the substances, and other dumb shit, I always tried to keep those two worlds separate. I got bused to a different school due to being special ed, so keeping the two separate was pretty easy for the most part. There were at times some bleed over. At times, I was in woodshop class and the style at the time was to have the Velcro straps hanging off the back of my high tops and another student grabbed them, causing me to fall. He ended up in the hospital for catching a claw hammer in the face. Between having to deal with the psychological counseling and the trial, I decided to avoid this kind of petty crap in the future. I sent the message and it was heard loud and clear. I pretty much had the reputation of don't F with him. When he snaps, he is dangerous. As I cleaned up my drinking and drug use, I figured I would leave the violence as well. Not that I was not good at inflicting it on people, but quite the opposite. I was too good at it, and having fed the darkness within, the high was better than any drug. Fast forward some years and I am attending a local community college, and while I am no longer running with the same violent crowd, but I still see them every now and then. I am taking some classes with my friend's little sister, and having seen her go from a bratty little girl to a woman kind of made it like she was another younger sister to me. She had started dating a guy who I knew from reputation to be a real piece of shit from high school. This guy was a year younger than me, and the rumors floating around was the school did nothing about how he would grope females in the hallway because he was the star WR for the football team. He lost his scholarship to the state college due to his grades, but the rumor was he had a few assault allegations that were swept under the rug. I inform her of what I know about the guy, but she does not listen to me. After class, I approach the POS to inform him that his GF is someone I think of as a little sister and to tread lightly. She attended a school function with POS and then she was missing from all of her classes for the next week, so I drop off the notes at her parents' house. I found out POS had roofied her drink, took advantage of her at the function, and left her there under the bleachers for people to be found. To make matters even worse, he gave her a few STDs. The revenge on my part was I knew where he parked for classes every day, so I skipped class and waited for him to go return to his car to beat him down. Due to him driving an SUV, I knew he kept a broom in there for cleaning off his car for snow. I had taken a pair of brass knuckles and I went to town on him. I grabbed the broom and carried him into the woods to stick that broom where the sun don't shine. I left him bent over a picnic table with the broom sticking out his ass like I just planted a flag. I stroll into the local pharmacy to pick up some hydrogen peroxide to clean off the blood, and I go visit her older brother at the prison to give him a heads up. I tell him what happened, what I did, and to keep an eye out for him on the inside. I must have a guardian angel, as the list of people who wanted him dead for doing similar things was quite long. I got questioned about him, but I gave them nothing and pointed them towards the people I suspected might have been victims of him in the past. The black hole revenge. I made a few inquiries into where this Poss was going to be sent to once he got out of the hospital. Turns out he was going into one of the camps at the same prison the older brother was at. Even though it was a different unit, it was still close enough in the sphere of influence that he could be gotten to. I was given a few names to make contact with and drop off some cash for the commissary to grease a few wheels to get at Poss. I figured that he would have been shanked and it would have been done with him. Turns out Poss was gang assaulted by 10 guys, one of which infected him with HIV. They slit his rectum to make it wetter and to increase the possibility of infection. After doing all of the messaging, I was approached by someone who played a cell phone video of the whole thing before I went into class. Turns out he died of sepsis a few weeks later. The orderly was pocketing the antibiotics and pain pills. He was double dipping as he was paid to do this, and he sold off those pills as well. The only witness to my part of the revenge was now dead, and all that was left was trying to rebuild little sis. I know I'm going to hell for this, but I do not care. Maybe the nightmares I had for years after this will be penance enough, but who knows.